She whispered her way to the top of the music industry.
Billie Eilish remains a staple on the charts and on stages around the world.
Billie Eilish!
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish!
17 years old, baggy clothes, neon green hair. But behind the platinum plaques and sold-out arenas, a different story was unfolding.
But, I don't know, I would like to go to, I don't know, anywhere and not be always recognized.
What happens when the whole world decides they own pieces of you? This isn't really about Billie Eilish. It's about what we do to young women when we love them too much. It started in a bedroom in Highland Park. Brother and sister making sounds that felt like secrets. Phineas O'Connell had the technical skills, but Billie had something else. A voice that could make you lean in, make you feel like she was telling you something she'd never told anyone else. The song was called Ocean Eyes. She was 14. Within months, that whisper had traveled through headphones across the globe.
Ocean Eyes was the start of everything. I think within about a week it had 1,000 streams. I just was like, whoa, what? What is going on?
But here's what no one talks about. The moment a teenage girl becomes public property, childhood doesn't just end, it gets archived. Every awkward phase, every mistake, every moment of growth becomes content for strangers to consume. Watch her in those early interviews. Really watch. The way she pulls at her sleeves, how her eyes dart away from cameras. This wasn't shyness. This was someone learning in real time that her body had become a topic of conversation among people she'd never meet. So she made a choice. Baggy clothes, oversized hoodies that swallowed her whole. If they were going to look, at least they wouldn't see her.
What I like about just dressing like I'm 800 sizes bigger than I am is it kind of gives nobody the opportunity to judge what your body looks like.
But protection can become its own prison. The uniform that saved her from sexualization became a costume she couldn't take off without being accused of selling out. The oversized clothes that let her breathe became the only way the world could recognize her. And still they watched. They dissected her lyrics for clues about her mental state. They turned her into hashtags. They made fan art of her trauma. The whisper became a scream, but not from her. It was the internet screaming at her choices, her clothes, her face, her body. And Billie? She just kept whispering, because that's all she had left.
It is a waste of time, dude. It's ruined so many things that could have been amazing because I was sad. Dumb, but whatever.
The truth is, Billie wasn't just becoming famous. She was becoming fractured, in real time, in full view. There's something uniquely disturbing about how we love young female artists. We don't just want their music, we want their pain, their secrets, their authentic selves, packaged and delivered on schedule. We call it fandom, but sometimes it looks more like consumption. Billie gave them honesty about depression, about feeling suicidal, about growing up with the weight of strangers' expectations pressing down on her chest. And we turned that honesty into streams, into content, into reasons to love her even more.
I was so unhappy last year. I don't want to be too dark, but I genuinely didn't think I would make it to 17.
You didn't think you'd make it to 17?
No.
So why do you think you didn't?
My mom.
The depression was the hardest part of all this. And we checked in with her all the time.
Her sound itself was rebellion disguised as vulnerability. Those ASMR whispers weren't just aesthetics, they were defiance. In a music industry that demanded young women be loud, be sexy, be available, Billie made them lean in to hear her. She turned intimacy into power. But power in the music industry is always borrowed, especially for young women. And eventually, every young woman who dares to grow up in public faces the same impossible choice. Remain frozen in the version of yourself that made you famous, or accept that changing means disappointing people who think they own the old you. When Billie appeared on the cover of Vogue in 2021, wearing a corset and looking like, well, Like a woman instead of a teenager, the internet lost its collective mind. Some called it empowerment. Others called it betrayal. But maybe it was just a 20-year-old woman trying on different versions of herself, the way people do when they're becoming who they're supposed to be. The backlash was swift and brutal. How dare she change? How dare she reveal that she had a body underneath those clothes? How dare she grow up? Her second album, Happier Than Ever, wasn't just music, it was a manifesto. Song after song about toxic relationships, about fans who love you until you disappoint them, about the crushing weight of being everyone's favorite broken girl. She had learned something that every young woman in the spotlight eventually learns. Authenticity is a trap. Be yourself, but only the parts of yourself that we like. Be real, but not too real. Be vulnerable, but don't ask us to handle the actual complexity of a human being growing up. There's a moment in every documentary about child stars where we pretend to be surprised by the cost of fame. We shake our heads at the machine that chews up young people and spits out content. But we never examine our own role in that machine. We are the machine. We're the ones who demanded her pain as entertainment. We're the ones who turned her coping mechanisms into aesthetic trends. We're the ones who loved her for being broken and then got angry when she tried to heal. We say we love her, but love like ours doesn't come free. It costs something. And sometimes what it costs is the person we're loving. Billie Eilish survived something that kills people, not just fame. The specific kind of fame that comes with being a young woman whose every emotion becomes a commodity. She found a way to grow up without completely losing herself, which might be the closest thing to a miracle that celebrity culture allows. But survival isn't the same as freedom. Even now, every choice she makes is filtered through the lens of how it will be received, how it will be interpreted, how it will affect her relationship with millions of strangers who think they know her. The girl who whispered to the world discovered that when you speak to everyone, you're speaking to no one. When you belong to everyone, you belong to no one. And maybe that's the real story here. Not how Billie Eilish became famous, but how we turned a teenage girl's bedroom recordings into a mirror for our own hunger for authenticity, for connection, for the parts of ourselves we can only access through someone else's pain. She gave us her real self, and we made it fake. She shared her truth, and we turned it into content. The question isn't whether Billie Eilish will be okay. The question is, what do we owe the young women we love too much? And when the spotlight finally dims, when the whispers stop echoing, who will she be when no one's watching? Maybe that's the only version of her that ever truly existed. Or maybe we never gave her the chance to find out.